Money is emancipated from the local restrictedness of most teleological sequences, because it is the intermediate link from any given starting point to any given final point. And if, as one might put it, every element of historical existence searches for the form of activity in which it can express its specific quality and its genuine strength in its purest form, then the earliest modern substantial capital, like the expanding urge of youthful spirits, presses for investments which most strongly reveal its all-embracing power, its all-embracing usefulness, and its impartiality. The hatred of the people for the major financial houses rested primarily on the fact that the owners and also their agents were usually strangers. It was the hatred of national sentiment against internationalism, the opposition of one-sidedness which, being aware of its specific value, feels overpowered by an indifferent, characterless force whose essence seems to be personified by strangers. This fully corresponds to the aversion of the conservative Athenian masses for the intellectualism of the sophists and of Socrates, for this new uncanny power of the mind, which, neutral and heartless like money, often showed its strength first of all in the demolition of the surviving pockets of ridiculed power. Moreover, as if objectifying this tendency of money, the enormous expansion of financial transactions originated in endless wars, between the German Kaiser and the French king, the religious wars in the Low Countries, Germany and France, etc. War, which by itself is only pure unproductive movement, gained complete control of money funds, and the solid trade in goods, which is largely locally confined, became overgrown by financial trade. Indeed, in this way the transfer of financial capital into foreign countries actually became subversive. French kings have engaged in wars with Italy with the support of Florentine bankers. They have taken away Lorraine, and later Alsace, from the German Empire with the assistance of German money. The Spaniards have been able to use Italian financial power to dominate Italy. Only during the 17th century did France, England and Spain attempt to set an end to this fluttering to and for finance capital, which thereby disclosed its character as a pure means, and to satisfy the capital needs of governments within their own country. If finance in the most recent period has again become international, in many respects, then it certainly has a completely different significance. Strangers in the original sense no longer exist today. Trade relations, the customs and laws of even very remote countries, have come to form a more and more uniform organism. Money has not lost the character that originally made it a domain of the stranger, but has intensified it more and more into abstraction and colorlessness through the multiplication and variation of the intersecting teleological purposes that exist in it. The contrast that existed between the native and the stranger has been eliminated, because the money form of transactions has now been taken up by the whole economic community. The significance of the stranger for the nature of money seems to me to be epitomized in miniature by the advice I once overheard: never have any financial dealings with two kinds of people, friends and enemies. In the first case, the indifferent objectivity of money transactions is an insurmountable conflict with the personal character of the relationship. In the other, the same condition provides a wide scope for hostile intentions, which corresponds to the fact that our forms of law and a money economy are never precise enough to rule out willful malice with certainty. The desirable party for financial transactions, in which, as it has been said quite correctly, business, is the person completely indifferent to us, engaged neither for us nor against us. The psychological growth of means into ends. In the preceding analysis, we have presupposed one aspect of the sense of value whose self-evidence can easily obscure its significance for us. Money is valuable to us because it is the means for the acquisition of values, but one could just as well say that it is only the means. For it does not appear to be logically necessary that the emphasis of value that rests on the ultimate ends of our action is transferable to the means, which, in themselves and without reference to the teleological sequence, would be completely estranged from value. This value transference on the basis of purely external connections arranges itself in a very general form of our mental processes, which one might call the psychological expansion of qualities. If an actual sequence of objects, forces, or events contains a link that brings about certain subjective reactions in us, e.g., pleasure and displeasure, love or hate, positive or negative value sentiments, then not only do these values seem attached to their immediate representatives, but we also allow the other unspecified mental links of the series to participate in them. This is true not only for teleological sequences whose ultimate link reflects its significance on all the causes of its realization, but also for other regular linkages of the elements. All members of a family participate in the honor or degradation of one of its members. The insignificant works of a great poet enjoy an undeserved appreciation because his other works are important. Preference and rejection of the individual in party politics extends to those points of the party programmed that may otherwise be met with opposite feelings or with indifference. Love for a human being originating from sympathy with one of his qualities finally encompasses his total personality, and therewith all kinds of qualities and utterances, with the same passion that would be unjustified without such a connection. In brief, wherever a number of people and objects exist as a unit through whatever connection, the sense of value derived from a single element is also transmitted by the common root of the system to the others, which by themselves do not provoke such feelings. Precisely because the sense of value has nothing to do with the structure of things but possesses its impassable realm beyond them, valuation does not strictly adhere to its logical boundaries but evolves liberally beyond the objectively justified relations to things. There is something irrational in the fact that the relatively high points of our mental life tinge the contiguous moments that do not have those qualities, but this reveals the whole happy wealth of the soul which wants to live out its interest in the once sensitive significant elements and values, even according to the full measure of its inner resonance to things, without anxiously asking for the legitimate reason for their sharing this value. The most rational and most plausible of all the forms of such expansion of qualities is certainly that of the sequence of ends. Yet this too does not seem to be absolutely necessary. The significance that the indifferent means acquires by realizing a valuable end does not have to consist of a transferred value. Rather, it could be a specific category grown out of the extraordinary frequency and importance of this configuration. However, the psychological expansion is in fact based on the value quality, the only difference being that the value of the end may be called absolute and the value of the means relative. The value of things is absolute, here in the questionable practical sense, where a process of the will definitely stops. This stopping naturally does not need to be an extensive pause in time, but only the end of a series of innervations so that the continued life of the will manifests itself in new innervations after the sense of satisfaction has been exhausted. On the other hand, an object is relatively valuable if the sense of its value is thereby conditioned by the realization of an absolute value. The relativity of its value is demonstrated by the fact that the value is lost at the moment when another means for the same end is discovered which is superior and more easily attainable.